Late at night, a group of vampires is engaged in a fierce battle. In the forest, the man in the suit moves like a ghost, holding a silver axe. He's shuttled among his enemies, until the vampire queen pins him to a tree. This killing has just come to an end. However, the man in the suit isn't completely dead. Both of them possess speed beyond that of ordinary people. Sharp blades, emitting silver light under the moonlight. Who would have thought? Such powerful creatures are on the verge of extinction. Over 400 years ago, vampires in Europe were hunted and slaughtered. To survive, some fled to Indochina. They converted many local residents, indiscriminately killing, until one day, the people launched a counterattack. They killed the majority of vampires using silver weapons. Only a small number of vampires survived. The vampires changed their way of survival, establishing new laws. Live in the darkness, leaving no witnesses. On this day, high school student Kate is returning home from school. Her father went to deliver the final batch of goods. Kate finishes washing up, and sits in front of the mirror to do her makeup. Suddenly, the door behind her swings open. An invisible person came behind her. He grabs Kate and slams her into the table. Then, 2 puncture wounds appear on the girl's neck. Her head is twisted by the vampire. When the police arrive to investigate, Kate is already gone without a trace. Bloodstains lead all the way to the window. The police were very confused. Could the culprit have dragged the victim out of the window and flown away? At this moment, the vampire chains Kate. Then, he submerges the body in the lake. He lifts his black cloak and takes out his cell phone. Today is his anniversary with his girlfriend. The vampire immediately heads to the restaurant to have dinner with his girlfriend. Unexpectedly, someone at the party cuts their palm. The sweet taste drives the vampire York into a frenzy. He and his girlfriend Mary never suppress their instincts. They unleash carnage at the party scene. Meanwhile, another group of vampires is gathering at a secret hideout for a meeting. Most of them were forcibly turned into vampires. They have been suppressing their bloodthirsty nature. They yearn to become human again someday. Among them is a vampire named Knight. Thanks to rigorous training from the organization, he has gradually suppressed his craving for blood. No longer does he feel the urge to bite upon seeing people. Taking advantage of the sun not yet rising, Knight goes to the market to purchase supplies. The shopkeepers there know him well. Aware that Knight is buying a large quantity of animal blood, after completing his purchases, he prepares to leave. He notices a group of students bullying a girl. Knight doesn't want to get involved. After delivering the goods, the girl is still being beaten up. She even jumps into his car during a red light. The girl's wallet slips out of her pocket. The bullies drag her out of the car. Knight drives the attackers away, and then he rides away on his bike. As he tidies up the car's interior, he discovers the girl's wallet. Knight puts the wallet away, and heads back to his houseboat to shower. Suddenly, a dangerous aura approaches. So it was York who came looking for trouble. Knight beats him up. From their conversation, it can be seen they are actually brothers, because today is their mother's anniversary. That's why York came back. Knight wants to ask his brother how he's been doing outside, how he survives. York conceals his violent acts. He claims to be a vegetarian, only drinking animal blood when extremely hungry. York came here this time in addition to mourning his mother, to persuade his brother to leave this houseboat and see the outside world. He hands Knight a small bottle, saying that if he puts a drop in his nose, he will feel nauseous at the smell of human blood. Knight can't resist this temptation, choosing to leave with his brother. York and a few companions take him to a bar. Coincidentally, Gina, the girl who lost her wallet, she was also dragged to the bar by her friends to relax. The nightlife overwhelms Knight with its variety. He didn't expect there to be so many vampires here. Some even chat with humans. Right at that moment, Gina spots Knight. She approaches him to ask about the wallet. Knight has had too much to drink. He almost vomits on Gina. They quickly go to the restroom to take care of it. Gina notices that the mirror doesn't reflect Knight. She gets scared and quickly runs away. She grabs her friend and leaves in a hurry. York finds it strange. He asks Knight what happened, because his brother had instructed him not to let anyone discover their vampire identities. So Knight lies and claims Gina saw her ex-boyfriend. That's why she hurriedly left. After saying that, he wants to go home. Unexpectedly, Mary follows him outside. She realizes that Knight is lying. She hints that those 2 girls went to Fuan College. If you don't want to disappoint your brother, go and handle the trouble you caused. Lastly, Mary invites Knight to attend her birthday party tomorrow. Knight quickly arrives at Fuan College. He effortlessly jumps over the iron gate and heads towards the dormitory. He found the sleeping Gina and takes her to the equipment room. Gina picks up a stick and strikes Knight, but the stick breaks instantly. Knight grabs her by the neck. Gina explains that she doesn't know anything, even if she saw something she shouldn't have. She didn't say anything wrong. At that moment, a patrolling security guard suddenly pushes the door open. Knight and Gina quickly hide behind the shelves. Fortunately, the security guard doesn't inspect carefully. He leaves the archive room. Gina doesn't run, because she doesn't want to get the security guard involved. In the end, Knight decides to let her go. As soon as he returns to the houseboat, he finds his brother there. York already knows that Knight has been exposed. He picks up Gina's wallet and throws it into the water. Then he embraces Knight's head, warning his younger brother not to be too naive. Once humans discover our identities, they will do everything possible to exterminate us, so we can't be lenient with anyone. York instructs Knight to take Gina to the party tomorrow night. He will personally handle this trouble. On the following evening, Knight drops off Gina downstairs where his brother is. He doesn't notice that David from the Blood Prohibition organization is tailing him. He is conflicted at the moment, whether to bring Gina inside. His humanity triumphs over fear. Knight returns the wallet to Gina and leaves with the girl. David drives after them. He asks Knight, "It's so late, why aren't you going home?" Meanwhile, Gina notices a gun in his arms. Gina whispers a reminder to Knight. Knight immediately accelerates to escape. The two of them chase through the streets. Knight rides his tricycle into a narrow alley, successfully got rid of the car behind him, but David gets out of the car and continues pursuing. Knight grabs Gina and leaps into the air. The two of them hide in a high place, and only come down after David leaves, but they haven't run far when David intercepts them. Knight pushes David aside, and continues pulling Gina to run. They were running wildly in the alley, from the street to the upper floor, then back down to the alley from the second floor. But David continues chasing them closely. At a critical moment, York and Mary arrive. Knight takes Gina into the car. Finally, they shake off David who was chasing them. Meanwhile, the chains on Kate's body were hooked. She slipped out of it, and floated towards the lake. The police are at the scene taking photos for evidence. The blood hole on her neck catches their attention. The police put on their equipment, and dive into the water to investigate. They discover numerous bodies drained of blood. The locals start suspecting the houseboat residents. David orders the vampire organization to lock the doors. Blood Prohibition Organization. For a long time, they have been drinking the blood of chickens, ducks, and fish from the market. They also have to endure criticism for York and his people. On Knight's side, they arrive at a suburban villa. The people inside are dancing to the music. York instructs someone to show Gina around. He has something to discuss privately with Knight. Gina and the others leave. York punches Knight. He scolded Nate for taking Gina away. Meanwhile, Mary stands in the center of the stage celebrating her birthday, and Gina is their birthday cake. Mary is also a converted vampire. She was reported by her own biological mother. She was nearly burned alive with a torch. Since that day, Mary no longer believes in humans. She lives in the darkness, leaving no witnesses. Anyone who knows their identities must die. At this moment, a vampire steps forward and says, punishing the witnesses is not enough. The vampire who exposed their identities must be handed over. Mary is about to harm Gina. Knight rushes out. Two vampires immediately grab him. York can't watch his brother die. He suggests that Knight converts Gina. The vampires agree, saying it's a good solution. The vampire species is already endangered. This exposes one by one and kills one by one. The loss is too great. It's better to convert and strengthen the family. The two main characters are well aware that this is the only choice for survival. Knight bites Gina's neck and carries her out of the villa. Mary reaches out and touches the blood on the ground, realizing that Knight was lying. She lets out an angry roar and orders her subordinates to capture the two of them. On the other side, Gina realizes that she hasn't been converted. She asks Knight if vampires can't turn back into humans. Knight says, I used to believe there was a legend about a monk who was turned into a vampire. He locked himself in a cave, refusing to drink human blood for 100 years. He cured himself using this method. Knight's family hopes to emulate the monk and return to the light, so they established a secret organization to train vampires. However, York doesn't want to be imprisoned indefinitely, yet he can't defy his mother's orders. Eventually, he erupts under the lure of blood. The enforcer tries to shoot York. his mother took that bullet. Knight also realizes that the monk's story was just a lie. They were deceiving themselves. Vampires can't turn back into humans. Therefore, he doesn't want to convert Gina. The girl is deeply moved. Since her parents died in a car accident, no one has protected her. On the other side, York is locked up and being punished. Alec pressures him to reveal where Knight is hiding, but York refuses to speak. However, Helen manages to capture Gina and Knight. Alec quickly learns about their capture. Meanwhile, York takes advantage of Alec making a phone call. He breaks free from the silver iron chains on his body. Alec is unaware of the impending danger. He even approaches York to mock him. In the next second, he is impaled by the silver chain. York is now severely injured. He calls Gina's best friend for help. He bites into the friend's neck and drinks their blood. On the other side, Knight and Gina are brought to Mary's side. Gina is pushed into a pit. At a critical moment, York appears. He is now fully fed and incredibly powerful. York instructs his brother to take Gina away first. He stays behind alone to deal with Mary. He grabs an axe and attacks the enemy. He quickly kills the henchman on the scene, but in the next moment, he is impaled on a tree by Mary's dagger. Meanwhile, Knight and Gina ride a vampire motorcycle to escape. Surprisingly, Helen catches up with them. They speed along the road. Two trucks appear ahead. Knight seizes the opportunity and slips through a gap. Helen is too late to react. She crashes into the truck and is impaled by the steel inside, resulting in her death. Aren't vampires afraid of silverware? How come they can't even be stopped by steel bars? When Knight returns to the seaside, he discovers that the boathouse has been set on fire. Knight is very concerned about his fellow vampires. He rides over on his bike to investigate. Local residents surrounded various houseboats and caused trouble. Some vampires have been forced to reveal their true forms. David is about to shoot a silver bullet. Knight tackles the deranged vampire, helping them regain their sanity. A group of harmless vampires hide in the cabin. Police officers arrive from all directions. The sun is about to rise. They must make a decision. Although being transformed into a vampire was a last resort, but now the power of choice lies in their hands. They decide to die together. And in the final moment, David pushes Knight into the water, hoping to save his life. The sun rises from the sea level. The vampires inside the boathouse turn to ashes and disappear. At the same time, York pulls out a dagger from his body. Once again, he charges towards Mary. Both of them are vampires who have been drinking blood for years. They possess physical abilities superior to other vampires. The silver blade flashes with afterimages. In the end, it's York who fatally stabs Mary. He leaves a kiss on his former lover's face, watching Mary turn into ashes. And Gina found Nate hiding in the water. The two of them head to the address York mentioned to evade pursuit. They unexpectedly come across the corpse of their friend in the bathroom. They realize the danger and prepare to escape. They are intercepted by York in front of the elevator. Gina grabs a knife from the table to defend herself. Knight asks his brother since when he started killing people. That rainy night many years ago, after his mother took a bullet for him. York fled from the place where he grew up. He huddled under the bridge in a daze. Several men rushed over to rob. They pinned York to the ground and brutally assaulted him. Anger spreads within him. I am stronger than any human. Why can't I fight back? York disregards his mother's teachings. He bites and kills those robbers. He feels free and joyful. Since that day, he no longer suppresses his nature. Kill people whenever you want. York tells Knight, vampires can never overcome bloodlust. If you truly love Gina, you should let her go. Live with me instead. But Knight doesn't want to become a monster. He hugs York and apologizes. The next moment, he is stabbed by his brother. Gina rushes over for revenge. She gets her throat slashed by York.
Mày chỉ có một con đường để sống thôi. Cắn đi rồi mày sẽ hiểu anh hai của mày.
Under the stimulation of fresh blood, Knight reveals his fangs. He bites into his older brother's neck. Knight pulls out a dagger from his abdomen and charges at York. The two brothers engage in a fierce fight. No one has mercy. Meanwhile, Gina covers her neck and stands by. She's not dead, and still has the strength to assist. However, York's strength surpasses that of his younger brother. He was going to beat Nate to death. In a critical moment, Gina pulls apart the curtains and rushes over to embrace Knight. York dissolves into nothingness in the sunlight. A tear slides down his pale cheek. As it is widely known, vampires cannot shed tears. Thus, in the final moments of his life, York perhaps transforms back into a human. The movie ends at this point. The two factions of vampires facing difficult circumstances make different choices. The characterization of the two brothers is well developed. York is not purely a villain in the conventional sense. Unfortunately, the script is weak and the story is cliché. even in the end of the film. Knight, in order to save Gina from excessive blood loss, still converts her into a vampire. If you enjoy my channel, please consider subscribing.